While many may look back on Mr. Bad Guy simply as Freddie Mercury's first solo album, I see it as much more than that. Lyrically, it gave us fans greater insight into Freddie's life, especially with numbers such as Living on My Own and Made in Heaven. Additionally, any fan of Queen will find the tracks on Mr. Bad Guy to be enthralling, due to how it employs the dance/disco genres, straying away from Queen's rock-oriented sound. However, what I've always appreciated most about the 1985 album is the fascinating truth behind it. In fact, the history of the album begins several years before Mr. Bad Guy was released, during early recording sessions for Hot Space in 1981, with Mercury writing "There must be more to life than this." Of course, 2 years later in 1983, Freddie Mercury would meet up with the King of Pop, Michael Jackson, at his home in Los Angeles. This is where the two collaborated, recording a number of demos, including a song called State of Shock and the aforementioned More to Life Than This. Sadly, State of Shock would not see an official release with both artists' vocals, as Michael would later decide to record the single with Mick Jagger. Though in 2002, a demo of Mercury and Jackson singing State of Shock was leaked online.
Please, baby, please. Now listen, this is it.
In terms of There Must Be More to Life Than This, the vocals featuring both artists wouldn't see the light of day until 2014. As you can gather, Mr. Bad Guy solely consists of a solo version of the track without Michael Jackson's vocals.
About 3 tracks, that was about a year ago, and they haven't been finished. And since then, Michael Jackson's gone.
An intriguing fact about There Must Be More to Life Than This is that it could have been on the works as the final number, yet Is This the World We Created soon took its place. On the subject of Queen's 1984 album, Man-Made Paradise was left as an unfinished song from the works sessions. After the rock group finished work on their 1984 release, Freddie Mercury recorded a track called God Is Heavy. This number was never fully realized. It lacks lyrics, solely featuring Freddie repeatedly singing the title.
God is high, God is high.
The tempo of the song is fast, and we can occasionally hear Mercury's iconic falsetto. But why does Freddie Mercury keep sniffing? Perhaps he had a cold while recording this. There are elements of that pop disco sound we come to associate with Mr. Bad Guy within God Is Heavy, though this is most apparent with Money Can't Buy You Happiness.
Can buy happiness. No.
This track reminds me a lot of Fooling Around, mainly due to the relaxed sound they both share. Lyrically, the meaningful Money Can't Buy You Happiness is self-explanatory and simple to understand, much like the numbers which did make it onto Mr. Bad Guy. Around this time, Freddie also wrote She Blows Hot and Cold, which didn't appear on his solo debut. However, it was the B-side for Made in Heaven and was later featured on the Freddie Mercury solo collection Never Boring. Not too soon after, the opening track for Mr. Bad Guy was written, Let's Turn It On. It's thrilling, and the lyrics address the notion of enjoying life.
Let's turn it on.
There's also a song called Gazelle, which is much like a God Is Heavy, with how it was never fully realized.
Oh, gazelle.
This led into Freddie Mercury's most prolific period when writing numbers for the 1985 solo album. It was around May of 1984, and the likes of Living on My Own, Your Kind of Lover, I Was Born to Love You, and Made in Heaven were recorded. Not to mention Mr. Bad Guy, which at the time wasn't the title track, as Freddie had plans to call his solo debut Made in Heaven. But this was later changed closer to the album's release. Mr. Bad Guy plays on this notion of Mercury being a morally corrupt rock star, yet it's all sarcasm. Moreover, the number features the Munich Philharmonic, which makes the song sound larger than life.
Very bombastic, very pompous, and very me.
At this time, My Love Is Dangerous began by having the working title Love Is Dangerous. Freddie Mercury also recorded the solo vocals for There Must Be More to Life Than This. And finally, work began on Fooling Around, which was featured in the film Teachers.
That's been taken up for a film track, hasn't
That's right. It's
The Nick
Yes, they wanted a song in the film called Teachers, and so I gave them that one.
It was very generous of you.
Well, why not?
Love Me Like There's No Tomorrow apparently took the longest to write, most likely because it's such a deep and emotional song. The lyrics tell the story of two lovers who have no other choice but to go their separate ways. During late 1984, Freddie penned a nearly complete track entitled Love Making Love. The number consists of a sinister sound, and the title is reminiscent of other songs on Mr. Bad Guy. During March of 1985, Mercury put the final touches to his solo debut as he finished Man-Made Paradise and decided to make some subtle changes to Foolin' Around. Additionally, Freddie Mercury finally chose to have the lead single I Was Born to Love You be featured on the album. This is surprising, considering it's undoubtedly one of, if not his most popular solo hit. The B-side for Born to Love You, Stop All the Fighting, is not featured on Mr. Bad Guy, although that may have been due to the fact that the lyrics deal with almost identical themes to that of There Must Be More to Life Than This. Overall, it's no wonder why it took Freddie Mercury so long to complete Mr. Bad Guy. He had to commit to band activities, meanwhile taking part in everything involved with his 1985 solo release. If that be from performing the many tracks to arranging the orchestration. Luckily, Freddie's solo debut could be considered a commercial success, due to the fact that it did hit number 6 in the UK. However, it was a failure critically for numerous reasons. You have to remember that Mercury did go on to release Barcelona, his collaboration with Montserrat Caballé after this album. In addition, the singles are especially personal to Freddie Mercury, and the overall album served as an outlet for Freddie's love for the disco genre. Finally, Mr. Bad Guy was released only several months before Queen's iconic Live Aid performance, which would inspire the band to go back into the studio. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to show your support, and until next time, bye.